I'm going to just jump right into it and start off with the title poem, Washing Off the Raccoon Eyes. It was my right to fail, to swerve out from the panopticon of medication and embrace disorder, to curve under the weight of errant options, become a grave. I'm a yellow mango, pitted. After it was done, I had nothing to say. Silence, the slim wake of loss. Months. I didn't cry at the Swiss chalet. I didn't cease to exist. So I took to drinking again, and CalMag supplements, and even travel. I wrote a poem 10 pages long. I was alone, and then not alone, and then alone again, and not alone again. I rejected ownership, but it haunted some mornings, and I would search the empty house. One eye open, the other turned in, then scuttle back to bed. I dreamed of houses for days on end, attics that broke upwards into greater, more solid spaces, like a tooth growing into an occupied gum. I climbed out, studied the nature of obligation, and returned to my old job. I'm one of those women who is always chilly, but I learned to put more clothes on. Okay, let me check my time here. One of the things that inspired this book was all of the different apartments that I lived in Toronto. I think there were about 11 different ones over the course of between 2006 and 2017. I'm moving back to Ottawa this year, at the end of the year, so I'm very excited to say that. So there will be more apartments on the way, and I'm sure more poems. This one refers to, it was inspired by the feeling of knowing a space really well in your mind and having that map of a place that you know intimately literally burned onto your mind maps. And that in a way is the same way that we know our own bodies, and those maps that we make of our bodies are very similar to the maps we make of the spaces that we know really well, in a way that you can wake up in one place and keep your eyes shut and imagine that you're in your childhood home or in a previous apartment or a place that you know very intimately, and it can feel almost as a psychic extension of your own body. And there's a romance to that. So this one is called Interior Design. Open the door, this city in your room, this home a chessboard, this house a nightclub. Sleep in thermostat feud, New Year 0. This home a canopy, this house a deathbed. Commit to the hasty market for batteries, mix, and ice. This home a witness, this house a cloud. Relocate the dark, teach feet to know the bathroom path. Commit to space, the proper hallway, apartment for a mug, a cup, another glass. Girls creased at the corners, an honest map. Neon pink to mauve, lemon to wet cement. Paradise hauled up, husky eye blue to dusk, white to terracotta. Conversation with a Morse sky. White to Pompeii, slatted panes of dirt. Rooftop, legs dangle, modified. Our home a tattoo, a braille tattoo. The next one is called Rejection Letters. I've gotten a lot of those. Now they come by email, though. The broken wristwatch sleeps next to unmarked china on the silver platter, waiting for skin or sickness to be set right. My burden cascading over the cherry floor, pale scrawls waiting for the heat of spinal hope, summer burning, groundedness. Stacks of paper counteract the internet's efficiency. You know better than to speak. Pearl sunlight, tall morning. 7 times my words were folded, buried into themselves, inked in fractals of meaning, folders of time. Was this failure? These envelopes, an arsenal, militia of thousands, edges. How the words are embers, the medium of my silence. This is The Quiet Has Its Cities, and its borders, its moats and streets that turn into other streets, and all at once the drunks are in festival. The quiet has its cities, but this one is not one. There are appliances whirring, and the dawn snaps like a leather whip. The quiet has its cities, and kaleidoscope time hides inside itself, making cannibal worlds. This is how we get older. Quiet has its cities, and age has its images that fade, but do not shift like molten glass. The quiet has its cities, and next time I see you, you will be old. The quiet city has its wisdom. What if when I was younger, I was wiser? Or maybe I was fighting my vices, but now have scaled guilt. What I want is soft and warm and good, a smooth black rock at the bottom of my pocket. To be rich, to be rich. The quiet has its cities, but you are old now. I have left you. This is called Silver Platter. We did drugs off a silver platter in a plush room that purpled under the heat of our precision. Under xanthus, Chinese lanterns hung like fireflies, lit oblivion. Cross-legged on the floor, passing around a silver platter, sharing our childhood, stories of youth, teetering forward with laughter, gasping at our elephantine imaginations. We threw parties. Each room jerked and writhed, an armload of snakes, and I knew them all and slept with them. I danced behind a curtain of flame and watched. In those days, we were hardly alone. We learned to fly by the blue of our eyes. We learned how to love and how not to love. Men mirrored above our deep, throwing down anchors, reality, while we flash paradise in pearls and minks, glinting, supine, white stone sunk, with black eyes taking it in, and blue eyes shutting it out, and noses like foxes with ribbons and boxes. In those days, we traveled for free. We powdered our feet for sexual pleasure, then lay back to moan and wiggle our toes in the white clouds rising like fat loaves of bread. Okay. All right, I know this might be a tease because it's really cold outside, but I'm going to read a poem called Heat Wave. I like this poem because it's a little bit about how women can come through pain and be joyful about their pain in our communion with each other. And it's sort of taking, to quote Beyonce's grandmother, taking lemons and making lemonade. In this great sleeve of heat, clothes cling to their clustered bodies. I could swim in the dense Celsius. I've been talking to other women. They all agree that men switch like the flick of a tail, and we are sad. La vida es peña. In this great cult of sweat, thighs, hands, necks, everything is sweat. Thighs, breasts, necks, everything is sweat. All these limbs, their circular notions. women condensing in Celsius, runways of skin, blue-white, tarmac light, dark city light, constellation of risk. We women have been sitting on porches talking about men. You can swim across their moats, or else become mermaids with tails and glittering teeth, gusts of hair and salty mouths, river necks, what they call a good girl. That's how you breathe underwater. I've been playing my harmonica while other women walk along harborfront where the carousels are, gluing their skin to brass horses, sweating and then weeping. All right. This is going to be my last one. It's called Soft Edge of the Square. A writer falls asleep with a pen in his hand, a notebook open beside him in bed. His limbs slacken, the pen drops. While he sleeps, he shifts and tugs at the sheets. The pen rolls beneath him where his weight presses it into the mattress, his ribs. The man dreams. If I ask you to consider a wasteland, I must be careful. A wasteland is not an arena of nothingness. It does not echo. It's not that the terrain itself has been laid to waste. It's a place where things are discarded, where everything must be. The wasteland I asked you to consider is full of refuse. I tell you, it is full. It doesn't matter that you continue to fill it with more of your garbage because it's as full now as it will be tomorrow. This is not a question of quantity. The wasteland is infinitely greedy. Before he fell asleep, he was thinking of how to begin. He needed to find the right word or the whole thing would be ruined. Sleepy as he was, his process was precise. He would hold a word aloft, turn it over, check its teeth, but he threw each word aside because... Imagine a stone smoothed by a geographical force older than Earth. The stone is perfectly round. Round is good, remember? We were taught the circle stands for unity. Then we were shown that the circle is a friendly shape. We ate Cheerios, played Duck, Duck, Goose, passed our joints around a circle. You gave your lover a ring. Don't make this mistake. This is the kind of stone that kills. He feels only one sensation as he sleeps. The pain is round and hard and fuzzy, like too much noise. Pain like a jet engine spinning forward, a screaming mass of black mechanical turbo death. You can make it stop, you know. This feeling, whispers the dream voice. Please, what do I have to do? I'll do anything. Oh, you can't just do anything. That would be missing the point. What do you want me to do? Just say the word. Please. Not that word, the one behind it all. I don't know the word. Well, you should. It's the word that carries all other words on its back. The one with all the meaning. God, love, eternity. You can't just throw around any word. All others will be false. The man weeps. One word to codify all things. The pain arcs, fuzzing the boundaries of time, growing soft along the edge of the square.